Hello, 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 and welcome back, family, to Masquerade Monday. My name is Huddy, and tonight we're talking LA by Night. As always, this video is not scripted, and these opinions are all my own, so take what I say with a grain of salt. The epilogues have begun, kindred, and as Jason Carl says, the epilogues are short vignettes of the night that relate to the plot of the current season, but also foreshadow what is to come. Now, considering the state we see X in this epilogue, and based on some of the comments I received on my recap of the finale, I would like to start this recap off with a clip from my lore video on the Malkavians, which you can watch here. But I'd like to start this lore video off with an important snippet from the book The Lore of the Clans. Vampires don't like to say what they mean. Look at all the polite terms we use to talk about the nasty, nasty things that happen to us. Embrace means ripping the throat out of someone's mother and shoving the blood back in the wrong hole. The lexicon flows with flowery terms growing on mass graves. Madness is an archaic word used to describe what happens to the Malkavians because of their embrace. These terms follow us around like a stink cloud. Others talk about our madness as if it can be defined and accounted. They want to hold us down and define us because deep down they are scared of what we could really do. They fear the unknown we've touched because we've been able to grab a hold of it just for a second. Malkavians are broken from their first night as a vampire. We don't have anything to hold on to as we fall. It goes beyond mental health. Malkavians can't go into therapy or take medication. The afflictions we suffer may mirror ones defined by psychology, but that's because of our human shells. Some Malkavians drift through illnesses like hosts at a party. Psychology is the study of human behavior. We're not human. Humans love to anthropomorphize things, so sending a Malkavian to a psychiatrist is like trying to talk to your cat by meowing back. Now, with that out of the way, let's get on with it, shall we? The epilogue opens with Jasper, played by Alex Ward, and X, played by Xander Jeanneret, I think I said that right this time, coming out of their obfuscate, excellent touch by the way, standing on the beach of Santa Monica, within view of the Asylum Club where Therese has boarded herself up against the Camarilla blood hunt. We see X looking rough. I audibly said wow as the scene unfolded, and Jasper looks at him with deep concern and worry. I feel like I say this in every recap, but I cannot possibly express how blown away I am by the actors and the storyteller. You guys are seriously amazing. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to do my best to attempt to interpret some of the things X says that are riddle-like in nature, and I anticipate it not going well, so take that as you will. Jasper does his best to keep X calm as he tries to figure out what exactly it is that X wants to do now that they are here in Santa Monica, and how he wants to do it, and he is incredibly patient and understanding with X. X says he knows a way to get into the asylum and indicates there's a way in through the ocean. He talks about waste, and Jasper assumes X is talking about some ocean sewer outlet that will lead them into the asylum. X says there's a secret in there. Now, in previous seasons, X has insinuated that he embraced someone and left them staked in the ocean. Could that be the secret? As they're talking, a couple strolling the sand starts walking towards them, and X becomes visibly agitated. He says he needs them, he needs their power. Now, they are not kindred, and here I go guessing again, but X, having fully satiated himself in the finale, might still be at hunger zero. Keeping his hunger down would ensure he wouldn't have to hear the voice of his beast, namely Therese. Jasper doesn't try to stop X from drinking from them, but he does tell him it's a little too risky out here in the open. X agrees and decides he doesn't need their blood after all. Jasper asks about the secret in the ocean, and X says it's between a rock and a hard place, that there are some things there she took from him, exclaiming, "Mother shan't be too pleased," which is, I believe, a reference to Bloodlines 1, a common whisper the Malkavian player character hears during the game. For the record, I don't subscribe to the idea that Therese is X's sire. I like to entertain it, sure, but I am skeptical. Jasper tries to let X know that he empathizes with his plight, even if he doesn't understand exactly what X has been through. This prompts X to launch into a rant, claiming he knew the whole time, that he is guilty, that he thought he could change things but he's not powerful enough. He needed the spark of the resistance, aka Annabelle, to free himself from his prison. But I would have to eat the baby, he goes on to say, a sad realization in his voice. But then he'd be free and strong, that the child of Malkav is no match. She would be gone for a little bit, but then she would come back and he would go. Then she could be trained, and then he could be free and gone. X believes that if he attempted diablerie on Annabelle, her spark, her essence would pass into him, and she would overtake him, as sometimes occurs in the process of diablerie. Then she would know his pain, and with the combined powers of Bruja and Malkavian she could take out Therese for him, even if he's no longer there. This is heartbreaking to watch, to see X willing to sacrifice his unlife on the hopes that Annabelle would be stronger than him, do what he cannot alone, and finally be free of this pain, no matter the cost, just to have this done, just for it to come to an end. Jasper and X are interrupted again by an individual named Gilmore, a homeless man X knows, a man who used to spend time with X's former coterie, the Drum Circle, and used to give him information in exchange for money. Gilmore asks how X is doing, obviously happy to see him, and X replies that it's his birthday. We then get an amazing version of Happy Birthday from Jason Carl. Thanks, Jason. X begins to spiral, saying 3 times to Gilmore that he wants to go to the facility, where he can get better and wear a coat and be restrained. Gilmore is understandably confused, and as Jasper tries to convince him to leave, X grabs Gilmore and begins feeding. When Jasper sees that X doesn't plan to stop, he separates the two. Gilmore falls unconscious, and Jasper brings him to a bus bench where a group of humans offer to call the police. When their backs are turned, Jasper activates Unseen Passage and gets hungrier, and we get to hear Jasper argue with his beast as his beast taunts him, saying, "You could think of me once in a while." Jasper returns to X, who begins wading into the ocean. Jasper takes the time to bury his bag in the sand above the tide line and then follows him in. As they get waist deep, X reaches out for Jasper's face, traces of vitae on X's fingers, obviously from X biting at his own nails, and activates Share the Senses with him. X shares a blurry, fragmented memory of his embrace with Jasper, the cold of the ocean, a terrible smell, being dragged and put somewhere, and his name being taken from him. X pulls Jasper deeper into the ocean, and they both let themselves sink to the ocean floor, and despite the dimness of the light, Jasper does his best to follow X until he stops at a spot and begins digging, pushing away seaweed and silt and activating heightened senses in order to see better. X again shares a memory of when Jasper and X first met, and Jasper is overcome by the emotion of happiness. Oh, my heart. Eventually a hatch is uncovered, and Jasper, attempting to open it, activates prowess and again grows hungrier. As Jasper's beast begins speaking, X addresses it, much to Jasper's obvious confusion and disturbance at the cacophony of voices ringing in his head. X calls Jasper's beast an asshole, and it replies in kind before it is quiet again. Jasper is successful in opening the hatch and receives another memory from X as he pulls on the latch, seeing X fail 3 times to get it open, hearing X say he's not strong enough, he needs the Bruja. Although the hatch has been opened, X doesn't move to go inside. Instead, a flood of memories begin pouring from him into Jasper. The first is a memory of Eva, where X asks if Eva loves Jasper, to which she replies, "I don't know. I don't know what the future is like." Now, I did go back to episode 6 to see if this conversation happened between X and Eva, and I just blocked it from my memory, but it didn't occur there. So is it possible X and Eva spoke about this off-screen? It's important to note, kindred or kine, memories are shaped by the emotions we attach to them. What X is sharing with Jasper may be true, but we need to take it at most true to him, which isn't at all to discredit what he went through. Now, whether using Share the Senses allows X to invent things or change things about the memories he's sharing isn't clear, but if it is, X sharing this with Jasper, unaware that Eva has already told Jasper that she loves him, could be in an effort to encourage Jasper to be a bit more reckless, a bit more willing to face the high likelihood of the final death should they go up against Therese. Which to me doesn't seem necessary. I mean, if this epilogue doesn't make Jasper #best friend goals, I don't know what would. Another memory comes, this time of Chloe. X says Chloe has been captured by the Drum Circle, that she left during the day when he was sleeping and couldn't stop her. He says that he went to them and explained that she's with him, and that they believed him and everything was fine. Again, the significance of this memory is lost on me, but it does reference what X said in the season finale when he warned everyone that Chloe would get herself killed trying to get to Therese, that she has done things like this before. This prompts Jasper to close the hatch while another memory invades his mind. It's of Nellie back in season 2 when the coterie came together to kill her sire, Chaz. X, who was clearly not okay with this plan back in season 2, revisits those feelings but pushes them down, claiming Nellie knows what's best for me. I get the impression here that X has spent at least the whole of his unlife under the sway of one kindred or another, doing his utmost to think the best of everyone, convincing himself that they have his best interests at heart. It is a distressing scene to watch. Did I mention how amazing Alex and Xander are in this epilogue? Because they're amazing. Jasper reaches out and places his hand on X's face and indicates that he is listening to X. Another memory comes, this time of Victor, with X claiming that Victor doesn't see the whole picture, and maybe Victor is the crown and X is the wolf. Maybe he doesn't need a bruja, but a gangrel. He could do it. Nellie did it, Jasper does it. It's against the rules, but there aren't any rules anymore. Now, the wolf in the crown has been referenced multiple times in LA by Night, the infamous vision X keeps having of a wolf either chewing on or chasing a crown. Out of the many speculations that I and others have made about this vision, it did not occur to me to see X as the wolf, and I don't want to. Jasper leads X out of the ocean and back to shore and tells him that although he will stand by X no matter what, he tells him the act of diablerie will change him should he do it, and not necessarily for the better. X responds with another memory, this time of a conversation we saw back in episode 6 between X and Victor, where X tells Victor that he's not here for his floxy-nosy nilahilla-pillification, the act or habit of estimating something as worthless, to which Jasper responds that he never thought he was worthless, and he knows X can take care of himself. Jasper promises to come back with X when he's ready, and they'll face whatever is in the hatch. X responds with another memory of he and Chloe taking over their first fortune-telling stand in North Hollywood, hatching the plan with Chloe to scare the elder vampires into leaving, again likely referencing the fact that neither X nor Chloe understand that the beckoning is a compelling force causing elders to leave, not a choice. X then says, "I saw a crone. What does an old lady have to do with anything? Devouring the sun?" Gehenna is a made-up word. Now, when I first heard crone, I immediately thought of Fiorenza for some reason, but after the epilogue ended, well, to use the parlance of my native Boston, dawn breaks over Marblehead. I apologize for that accent, I try very hard to cover it up. Now, you guys should know me well enough by now that I jump at even the slightest hint of something pertaining to the World of Darkness lore. Now, devouring the sun is referenced a few times in the Chronicle of Shadows, the third section of the Book of Nod, which is all about Gehenna, the vampiric end of days, if you will. But the crone, now that's something we haven't talked about yet in LA by Night. The Chronicles of Cain is the first section of the Book of Nod, where Cain supposedly, in his own words, relates what his motives were that led to his curse, his viewpoint on the days after the fall of man, and his history of being the Dark Father. It is in this section one first reads about the crone. It alleges that Cain was tricked by a crone who blood bound him to herself by making him drink from her 3 times in as many nights, and then had him drink an elixir containing more of her blood, which bound him to her. She forced him to fall in love with her and embrace her. This is supposedly the origin of the blood bond, by the way, and Cain was able to be tricked by her because he was so enraptured and pining after this woman who would not love him back, and the crone offered to help him. Interpret that how you will. Unfortunately for the crone, she did not continue forcing him to feed on her blood, so after a year and a day, Cain was free of the bond, and asked her how to punish his childer who are disobedient. The crone, unaware the bond had faded, fashioned a stake for him, telling Cain, "Pierce the heart of your wayward child, it will render them still, and they will feel the weight of your justice." Cain uses it against the crone and leaves her for the sun. Again, this is the origin story for why staking a vampire is effective at making them immobile. Now, the crone is referenced only one other time, in the third section all about Gehenna, specifically in the time of the Thin Blood passage, which we've heard multiple times this season. It states, "You will know them by the awakening of some of the eldest, for the crone will awaken and consume all." So what does this all mean? Well, like most prophecies, the devil may or may not be in the details. It may mean nothing. It may portend disaster. We'll have to wait and see. The epilogue ends with Jasper receiving a text from Chloe asking where X is. Jasper responds that he doesn't know, that he's still looking for him. And as Jason Carl said, that statement is not entirely untrue. If you haven't already, please go follow the World of Darkness Twitch channel and subscribe to them on YouTube. If you can, sub to their channel on Twitch and support their sponsors Backblaze and Level Up Dice. All links can be found in the description. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to me as well for new content every Masquerade Monday, and let me know your thoughts on Epilogue 2, 1000 Masquerades in the comments. Thank you so very much for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!